Welcome back to Don't Leave with Mary Crocker Cook. We've been reviewing the various activation styles and ways they show up in our relationships, and I thought it was important to include behaviors that we see with secure attachment in case you were to spot them in the wild. Keep in mind that even without intervention, we tend to move toward more secure attachment strategies as we age, mostly because we learn to trust our own resilience. We have simply lived long enough to see our strengths so we can handle broken relationships with more grace. We have been exploring the second part of our codependency definition up to this point, so let me remind you. Our anxiety-based response to life can include overreactivity, image management, unrealistic beliefs about our limits, and attempts to control the reality of others to the point where we lose our boundaries, self-esteem, even our own reality. When we consider this final attachment style, secure attachment, you will see the absence of the coping strategies we've been exploring up to this point. Sometimes being fully transparent and vulnerable would not be in our best interest, however, so not having self-protection strategies is not our goal. Our goal is to be able to choose our strategies based on our need to take care of ourselves. Hopefully, we can develop relationships with at least a couple of people who can see and hear us, and when we are with them, we can respond as securely attached. Attachment usually refers to the tie experienced by the infant toward the parent, which the child actively initiates and participates in, and which largely determines the child's developing sense of self and approach to the world environment. It's a mutual exchange. As we've learned, secure attachment develops as a result of consistent and accurate response between the caregiver and child, which requires the caregiver to be cognitively, emotionally, physically present in a predictable and meaningful way in order to participate in the deepening relationship over time. Secure attachment promotes expectations that others will be responsive to our needs, so we develop a perception of competency in dealing with challenges and a willingness to seek support from others during times of distress. Our internal working model is that when we ask for support, we will receive it and will be comforted by it. The caregiver with whom we develop secure attachment sees and hears us accurately. The caregiver learns correctly to understand, interpret, and appropriately react to our behavior. This adult behavior establishes within us as an infant and toddler a felt knowledge that we are respected, interesting, and significant to the caregiver. Clinicians like Mary Ainsworth point out that the caregiver's availability to accept protest without retaliation or excessive anxiety is also a key determinant of secure attachment. The child must be welcomed back with unconditional intimacy when it's time to repair a rupture in the relationship. Caregivers must resolve their own attachment needs in order to tolerate the child's growing need to establish, differentiate a separate self apart from the parents. As we learned before, a child needs empathic attunement from the caregiver in order to develop an integrated self. Adult secure attachment includes asking for a response, which means clearly signaling the need for support, maintaining signals until they're detected, openness to a partner's response, and finding comfort in an appropriate response. Effectively responding to a partner includes detecting the partner's implied or implicit request for secure-based support, correctly interpreting the request, responding appropriately in a timely manner. So what does it look like when this doesn't happen? Well, when asking for a response, we do not clearly signal the need for support, expecting our partner to read our minds or guess our needs. Some of us might ask once in a roundabout way for our needs to be met and then drop the topic when it is not immediately addressed. We could be resistant to our partner's response because we insist our response is being delivered in a very specific way. We ignore all other attempts. It could be that we lack internal awareness. Instead of asking for what we need, we ask for what we want, and so they don't have a way to comfort us. We may be oblivious to our partner's implied or implicit request for support due to our preoccupation with our own unmet needs or resentments. Or maybe we notice the need for support, but do not accurately recognize what our partner is asking from us. So we offer them something different than what they've asked for. Sometimes we respond, but not in a timely manner because we do not understand the urgency of our partner's needs. Ultimately, in a secure, attached relationship, we can trust that if there is a disruption or a conflict, we'll work it out. We don't see conflict as a deal breaker, so avoid or deny what's happening in the relationship. Adult relationships differ from adult-child relationships because they are not unconditional. Mutual participation is required for a healthy relationship, while early caretaking is primarily a giving one. So ultimately, we get back to the idea that we get the level of attachment we offer. The change in my relationship begins with me. When we return, we will do a deeper dive into the impact of our attachment style on our use of substances. I'll see you then.